brought about by grace or by communion with higher intelligence. The alchemist was therefore expected to cultivate a state of humility, discipline, and moral purity to become a worthy vessel for this higher knowledge. This guidance was sometimes described as coming in dreams, visions, or moments of intense contemplation, often interpreted as messages from divine sources. His view of intermediaries extended into the philosophical idea that all transformation was mediated, that nothing could pass from a lower state to a higher one without the assistance of a bridge or agent. Just as fire transforms matter or the sun nourishes life on earth, divine intermediaries were thought to act as metaphysical bridges, allowing the spiritual and the material to interact. These beings were not worshipped in the way that deities might be in formal religion, but rather revered as essential partners in a cosmic process of awakening and perfection. Ostanis regarded moments of intense contemplation as essential to the alchemical process, not just as a mental exercise, not just as a mental exercise, but as a spiritual state in which hidden truths could be revealed. For him, contemplation was not passive reflection, but an act of inner alignment with the deeper structures of the cosmos. These moments were understood to create a sacred stillness in the practitioner's mind, where the noise of ordinary perception gave way to visionary insight. Ostanis believed that such states allowed one to penetrate beyond the visible world and make contact with divine realities or intelligence that guided transformation. Contemplation in Ostanis's system was a preparatory discipline and a form of communion. The alchemists would isolate themselves, sometimes fasting or engaging in ritual purification, and enter a meditative or trance-like state. This was a time when the spiritual eye could open, allowing the practitioner to perceive symbolic truths, receiving intuitive guidance, or even have direct inner experiences on the principles behind alchemical operations. These could manifest as images, internal voices, dreams, or a sudden and silent understanding, a kind of flash of gnosis. The knowledge gained in such moments were seen as higher than intellectual reasoning. It was considered a form of divine transmission. Ostanis tied these moments to the concept of sympathetic resonance between the soul and the cosmos. He believed that by purifying the self and concentrating one's mental and spiritual energies, the practitioner could harmonize with the universe and intelligence that governs both nature and spirit. In such alignment, knowledge would descend unbidden, and the mysteries of transformation would reveal themselves not in words, but in inner experiences that transcended language. Contemplation thus became a sacred instrument, enabling the alchemist to become a participant in the cosmic creation rather than a mere observer of natural change. In some texts attributed to or influenced by Ostanis, these moments are described as visionary thresholds in which the alchemist might witness archetypal or archetypal archetypal forms, planetary spirits, or the spiritual anatomy of matter itself. They were not just seen as hallucinations, but as true insights into the metaphysical structure of reality. Importantly, Astonis emphasized that such visions could only occur to one properly prepared through ethical living, humility, ritual discipline, and sincere devotion. Contemplation, then, was both a gift and a skill, cultivated through deliberate practice, but ultimately bestowed by the divine in response to inner readiness. Through this emphasis of contemplation states, Astonis helped to frame alchemy not only as a proto-scientific endeavor, but as a form of sacred philosophy. These moments of intense inner focus were, were the portals through which the unseen could inform the seen, where the higher worlds could impress their order on the lower, and where the alchemists could glimpse the divine architecture behind all transformations. Astonis taught that all transformations, rather in nature, the human soul, or in the laboratory, required a mediated principle. He believed that nothing could shift from a lower to a higher state on its own. There always had to be an intermediary, a bridge, agent, or channel through which the energies of transformation could pass. This principle applied equally to physical substances undergoing a refinement, to the soul seeking spiritual ascent, and to the cosmos itself, where celestial forces govern change and growth in the natural world through layered systems of influence. In alchemical terms, Astonis suggested that base metals could not become noble without the presence of a transforming agent. This could be a substance like mercury, or a secret compound that carried within it the essence of both the fixed and the volatile, the material and the ethereal. This agent was not merely a chemical catalyst in the modern sense, but a sacred substance that embodied the mediating principle between opposites. Its role was to harmonize, bridge, and unify elements that otherwise resisted combination. This echoes the belief that divine order what must be invoked to bring harmony out of chaos. In the realm of the soul, Astonis taught that humans could not achieve spiritual elevation purely by will or intellect. A spiritual guide, divine intermediary, or celestial intelligence was required to draw the soul upward. These intermediaries were not always visible or personified, but they were part of a cosmological structure in which higher truths filtered down through levels of beings. Rituals, symbols, prayers, or inner devotion served as tools to attract the presence of such mediators. For Astonis, these beings or energies were not optional spiritual concepts, they were essential. Without them, transformation was either incomplete or corrupted. This belief also reflected the structure of the cosmos as he saw it, a descending and ascending chain of being, where each level depended on interacting with the one above and below it. Astonis likely drew from older Persian and Chaldean cosmologies, where planetary spheres or divine intelligence played the role of transmitters of light, wisdom, or life force. Every transition from darkness to light, ignorance to understanding, corruption to purity, required that something act in between, transferring the essence of one state into another without destroying either. Astonis's viewed the absence of such mediation as the cause of failed transmutations, both in the laboratory and in spiritual practice. Just as a metal would remain impure if the right agent were missing, a soul could fall into delusion if it tried to rise without proper alignment. In this way, he placed deep spiritual and philosophical meaning into the idea of mediation.